There's so many things to be afraid of when you become a digital nomad.
So let's get into it and talk about some of the things that you might be afraid of if you're starting your journey. And, me as an experienced digital nomad, I'm going to give you some tips and tricks and tell you what the reality is about the things that you might be fearful of. So let's go. Hey everybody, this is Rising Nomad. I'm Eric.
I'm Georgina.
And we're sitting today in a scorching hot park in Athens. What is this park called?
It's called National Garden. It's called Zapio.
Yeah, the National Garden, and we've got the lovely sound of the crickets. And we're going to talk about things that you might be afraid of when becoming a digital nomad. Mm-hmm. So, the number one thing about becoming a digital nomad is that you always want to make your life better, of course. But in some ways, you might actually make your life worse and more difficult. Yeah, when becoming a digital nomad. So, Georgina, what would you be afraid of? What's the first thing you'd be afraid of when taking the plunge?
Fear of loneliness, I guess.
Yeah.
I would, especially if I would travel by myself, being lonely in another country. Nobody likes being alone, especially when you're somewhere far away that don't feel comfortable, you're out of your comfort zone, and you don't speak the language, you don't know where you are. So I think for me number one is loneliness.
Yeah, and I will say this is real. Having done this lifestyle for a long time, traveled the world with it, it is a real thing. If you travel alone, you will be more isolated than you probably were in your home country. But that's the beauty of it as well. Because you can,
Is it?
Yeah, because you get to reinvent yourself. You get to know yourself better, and you get to choose the types of people you want to associate with on any day. It's always easy to meet people, fellow travelers especially, who speak the same language as you, usually English when traveling. Mm-hmm. And if you go to a hostel, stay in these social places, go to couchsurfing meetups, message people on apps like Couchsurfing and other apps where you can meet people, like Facebook groups for expats. It's always easy to meet people.
And what if you're more an introvert?
If you're more an introvert?
Like me.
Well, I'm an introvert too, but I have a very sort of evolved sense of social skills. But what I would say, as an introvert, what we crave is not just shallow conversations, in bars or in hostels, normal stuff. What introverts crave is deeply satisfying social interaction. And if you do a good job at searching sites like Couchsurfing or on Facebook groups to find people who really have similar interests and styles to you, then you can find people who will appeal to that type of connection that you as an introvert need. Mm-hmm. And basically,
what if you have for example, 2 weeks to spend in a place, and then you meet people and then they're just not for you?
Yeah, if you want long-term
time, right?
If you want long-term sort of associations and stuff like that, if you want stable friendships and stuff like that, being a digital nomad will make you feel very lonely if you want long-term connections. So that is a very real thing and a very real sort of fear that people might have when going out. But as I always say, you can always go back home and your friends will probably still be there. They might have taken different paths in their lives after 2 years or 4 years or whatever it is, but they're always going to be there. And the people that you can meet on the road, especially people who have a similar sense of adventure and lust for travel as you, well, those can be some of your best friends moving forward and the ones who understand what you've been through the most. So it can be lonely out there, but it's only lonely. You have to put in the work to meet people. That's for sure.
Definitely.
So the next thing we want to talk about in this video is lack of financial security in career. So a lot of people might have had a very successful career or job back home and suddenly got the travel bug and wanted to become a digital nomad. And it's not by default the most stable thing. Mm-hmm. But traveling doesn't necessarily need to be more expensive than living in your home country. Definitely the places that I like Serbia and Mexico and Thailand, are cheaper than the country where I came from, Canada, and the other country I lived and had a job, which was the UK. And basically, to be a digital nomad and be successful, you need to get your habit and routine going. It's good if you find an online job. When I started in 2013, as a full-time digital nomad working online, I just wanted to have a job that paid my lifestyle in Belgrade so I could work online, and I found that. So since then I started an agency, Support Adventure, which is my IT company. So if you're an IT technician, we can probably find you a job in that field. But that's what my company does. But just try to find like stuff that will keep you stable. Whatever it is, whatever online business, like I think the best is to find online work that you can do to just get started and start a career. Don't just try to like get past the first year. Try to find some work that you can do online that you can actually envision yourself doing for the next 5-10 years or whatever, because your journey could last that long. Mine has. And having found stability online and built a career building this IT staffing company, I can say it's a little different than if I stayed in one place, but it's not a whole lot different. And the world is a lot more open-minded to remote work than it was when I started in 2013. So yeah. What else would you fear?
The fear of diseases.
The fear of diseases.
I've been there. It wasn't that fun. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, a lot of people might think that it's like a lot of diseases around the world in these developing countries, you'll get sick, and it does happen.
It does happen. And actually, it's not the disease. Like the main problem is like the whole bureaucracy that you have to go after.
In the hospital.
Like in a hospital, yeah. Like you're not in your country. You don't speak the language. So like often they don't understand you.
Yeah, so when you get sick in another country, it can be very stressful.
Yeah.
Always get insurance, actually. Yeah, it's really important.
Really important.
When you're traveling, have travel insurance that will cover you if you get hospitalized, because there's all sorts of stuff that can happen, like in other countries. And basically, stay safe as much as you can. But this shouldn't stop you, because bad stuff can happen anywhere. And what's going to happen is going to happen, and you're going to be where you're at. And I did get sick once traveling in Thailand. I got a skin infection, that was pretty bad. And I don't know what to tell you folks. Like, you can fear, getting sick from food and all that stuff. I didn't really get sick from food, but a lot of people do. But it's just part of the journey. Like, you're going out into the world and you need to accept all that can happen, all of the diseases out there, all of that sort of stuff. And at least you'll have a story of getting sick in a foreign country that you can tell years from now. But it's a very real fear, and the best thing you can do is get insurance and read lots of stuff about it.
Yeah, and prevent as much as you can,
when I first started traveling to, for example, it was like Peru, South America, I got the yellow fever vaccine and stuff like that. Unfortunately, for stuff like dengue fever, there is no vaccine that's effective against all variants of it. And, it is a risk, but it happens a lot less than you might think. And these countries have come a lot further in terms of healthcare and private clinics, and in terms of food sanitation than you might actually think they have. So, for example, Thailand is very clean with their food preparation, I find, personally. What about the fear of culture shock? How have you experienced that? Like, have you ever been in a place where nobody understood you?
I've been, but it was stressful, and then I would have to search on Google Translate to see how to say hi and right and left and very basic things.
Bowl of rice.
Exactly.
Can
water
I pay with
or
card?
Whatever.
Yeah.
And you pay with card, and you just smile and they smile, and that's it.
Yeah. So the fear of communication problems, and culture shock and all that sort of stuff, there's some things about universal human kindness that you will find everywhere in the world, that if you smile, people usually smile back.
Yeah.
And everybody needs the same things, a place to sleep, food and stuff like that. So there's a universal understanding of travelers, and you'll find that even where you don't speak the same language as somebody or have the same culture as somebody, you will also find it really easy to communicate about basics like food, sleep, sleep. And it's really nothing to be afraid of. Even when I was walking around in China, I didn't find anybody who spoke English, but it was okay, folks. It was okay. I managed to get what I need, and even find myself when I when I was going from the airport and back, it was just a 16-hour stopover. I took a picture of the airport bus on my phone, and then when I went to find that bus again
You
to
just
get back,
showed the people,
showed the
right?
picture to people
Yeah.
because obviously it said something like airport bus in Chinese, and they were able to show me where it was. So these are skills that you build up when you travel. So,
And this is also actually fun for me. Like,
oh yeah,
it might be stressful, but then you remember it, and then you're like, oh, okay, that was fun. This like gives you an experience that you
Again,
wouldn't
yeah, this is the thing.
experience before, right?
Yeah, you should be like building up experiences. Like this is maybe a once in a lifetime opportunity to travel the world. Maybe it'll turn into a long-term lifestyle. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, miscommunication, culture shock, all that sort of stuff. You'll
What
get through it.
What I fear the most is fearing of getting lost.
Fearing of getting lost
Yeah,
because you have a picture of yourself in your mind and you're completely lost.
yeah,
Yeah?
yeah,
Has it ever happened?
yeah. Actually, a bunch of times.
Okay, but
It was stressful. You know, I would just like walk around and then like.
at
I
this
don't
time,
know,
did you
like-
have a smartphone with Google Maps?
No, I didn't.
And now you do in most places you go?
Yes, I do.
Well, it's good that you have that now.
But still, like, I don't know. I'm still like afraid of getting lost, and like I wouldn't be able to find my hotel room or my Airbnb, or
Well,
I don't know, like
anywhere
I
in
would
the
lose my
world.
stuff.
well, the hotels usually have business cards that you can take
Yeah, I know.
and
Just
put in your
like-
pocket and show the local people, where is this, the taxi driver, where is this? Although watch out for taxi drivers, they can try to scam you sometimes. But yeah, that's a fear. But did you always find your way in the end?
Yeah.
And do you laugh about it now?
I remember it like as a stressful event. So yeah, I'm not sure if that I laugh with this, but yeah, I mean, it cannot go that wrong in the end.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still, it's stressful.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and losing stuff. That's also
Yeah.
a fear. Like losing stuff can be horrible.
losing my phone
Yeah.
or wallet or like
Passport.
Passport,
That's the worst.
yeah.
Passport is the worst.
Passport, yeah.
Because then you actually, wallet and passport. Those, horrible. And it's just like, if you lose that stuff, it can be very stressful. But this can happen in your hometown on a night out as well. And I mean, I've got this, like, after years of traveling, I've got this program in my mind. I'm always checking my pockets for my phone and my, everything like that. And it basically keeps me from freaking out. And
Yeah.
I would just avoid, like, try to find a way to keep your stuff on your body so you can always pat it down and see if it's there and just feel that comfort and not be neurotic about it. But yeah, getting lost and losing stuff, can happen. And as you become a better traveler, digital nomad, you'll get better at dealing with this. What about safety?
Oh yeah, especially for me.
Yeah.
I have the fear, like every time I go somewhere. Especially if you don't know the neighborhood. I mean, you don't know where to go and where not to go. So I have to search before I go to a place, to search where are the safe places and like where are the more dangerous places.
Yeah. Yeah. And you always have to watch what's going on around you when you're traveling, right? And like just sort of like know who's around and where the strange looking people who might rob you
Exactly.
are.
So that makes you stressed all the time when you have like to check around you.
This one is very real because there's like lots of people all over the world who might want to take advantage of you.
But it depends where you go again, right?
Yeah, I feel safe here in Athens today. I feel safe in Belgrade. I feel really super safe in Thailand in most places. And it's just like, if you're concerned about safety, don't go to places that have a reputation for danger.
Yeah.
But then there are a lot of places like Mexico, for example, that are super friendly until it's not friendly all of a sudden. And I don't know, it's a level of street smart. I'd say like, go to the safe places first. Always watch your belongings. Don't leave your laptop on the table when you go to the toilet in a cafe. All that sort of stuff. Don't leave your phone on the table on an outdoor patio unless you like really feel you got it. If like there's any sort of commotion, always just like keep your stuff in your front pockets and watch out for those vibes. Your intuition can a lot of the time tell who's safe and who's not. Yeah. So, are there any like snakes in this park?
There are no snakes. No.
No snakes. Okay, good.
It's very, very safe.
Because I hate snakes. Anyways, the fear of local wildlife.
Wildlife?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is something that, okay, if you're traveling in Australia in the outback, yeah, it could be very real. You know, like earlier this year, I was walking in the middle of a park in the city center of Bangkok, and this huge monitor lizard, probably heavier than I am, just walking through the park. And yeah, you know, there's snakes, there's bugs, there's things in between, like these little centipedes and stuff like that. All might want to bite you, eat you, poison you,
exactly.
all of this sort of stuff. So
maybe insects that you maybe never noticed.
Yeah.
Like even like a mosquito in like some countries can be like very, very dangerous.
You should be afraid of this stuff. You should educate yourself beforehand, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go. I mean, if you...
But you should prepare.
If you run, yeah, obviously you're asking for it if you randomly run barefoot in the jungle and don't know what you're stepping on and all this sort of stuff. But in most places, like, you can kind of watch what's going on. You know, when I was living on the island in Thailand, Koh Phangan, I developed this reaction of like always looking around for stuff like snakes and all these bugs. And yeah, just, it's the same as the like not getting robbed sort of thing. You have to just like watch what's happening around you and kind of like build up a trust tolerance. See what you can trust and see what you can't.
And yeah, inform yourself before you travel.
Inform yourself. Read all those articles about the place you're going, what the dangers and annoyances are. Really important, folks. Yeah.
I didn't know.
You didn't know about dengue fever?
I didn't know. No, I mean, I didn't know that, yeah, I mean, I could get it and it would be real and, you know.
Wow, yeah.
So, yeah, mosquito is not the same here and in Thailand, so, yeah.
And, like, yeah, the fear of being scammed. This is something that, like, in a lot of places, you might want to, like, rent an apartment from somebody local and they might scam you, steal your deposit or something like that, or, like, a motorbike rental place will say you damaged their motorbike.
Which happens.
It happens,
like,
yeah.
Very often.
But you can always read reviews of places online or go through like some, like when renting apartments, go through Airbnb or booking.com where there's some accountability for the host and stuff like that. I would definitely recommend that. And yeah, this stuff happens. There are scams. You are the gringo. They do think you have lots of money. You may or may not. And they may try to scam you. Just like, again, follow your intuition as stuff like that. And yeah. You'll be fine, and it's
in the worst
experience.
scenario, like you'll just pay some like extra money, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's just money. I mean, the most important thing to preserve is your health.
Yeah.
And your sanity and stuff like that. So, yeah. But usually, I find sleazy people are easy to sort of like spot if you follow your intuition. If something doesn't feel right, like for example, do not leave your passport as a deposit on a motorbike. It's just a bad idea. Ask them, can you leave a cash deposit? And if not, go to another place, for example. And stuff like that. And then worst comes to worst, you would just lose that deposit rather than them like holding hostage your passport. So always be like street smart and stuff like that. Now, the next one I'm going to talk about is bureaucracy. You mentioned this about the hospital. Yeah. And stuff like that. This like going up against these foreign systems in a foreign language. You know, yeah, in the country like Serbia, where I've lived the most as a foreigner, it's tough. The people are unfriendly. The system works in strange ways. You're always missing one paper and stuff like that. It's a real fear, but I would say that being a digital nomad, if there's ever any foreign bureaucracy, you can always leave. You can always go to the next country. You can always go somewhere else. And you can always hire a local or find someone on a site like Couchsurfing who will make it easier for you and take sympathy on the fact that you're being subjected to their horrible bureaucracy. So, I mean, yeah, just ask for help. And being a dumb foreigner in a country has its benefits because people, even the bureaucrats, will want to help you. Yeah, it might be like a little bit difficult and more difficult than it was in your country to like register your address or open up a bank account or something like that. But once you get that stuff set up, you can just go back to enjoying your life in the place that you've chosen. So we're going to get now into the sort of like more psychological things on this. Those were the practical ones, and of course the solutions are mostly psychological, but I think the more like psychological ones, like, would you ever fear that you'd like go halfway around the world and you wouldn't enjoy it when you got there? Like that's like the loneliness would set in, the culture shock would set in, and all the things that we talked about.
That I wouldn't like it, that I would expect something different, and then I would find something completely different, and then I wouldn't really like it.
Yeah, so I think the thing to do here is always like try before you buy. I'm talking about like visit a country that you're thinking of, like say you wanted to go and be an English teacher in Vietnam. Go to Vietnam first. I mean, me personally, I find Vietnam really stressful because I'm sensitive to noise, and everything there is a motorbike. There's more motorbikes on the road than there are people riding them, it seems sometimes. And it's just so loud and so crazy, and they honk their horns all the time, and it just stresses me out. So you might not have that reaction to Vietnam, but I did. And if I had signed up for 6 months in Vietnam and after the first couple of days felt how I did there on a 1-week trip,
I mean, there is like always a two-way go. Like you can either get used to it, right? And
also, a friend said after 2 weeks, he's living in Vietnam. After 2 weeks he was living there, he didn't hear the motorbikes anymore. Your brain just edits it out. It's irrelevant. But the fear of not enjoying where you've gone. Well, this is a process. Happiness is a process. And we travel to different places, different countries, because we feel it's going to somehow make us happier or more complete as a person. But
it won't.
It will. It can.
It won't make you happier.
It can challenge you in interesting ways that build your character. Maybe it will make you happier. Maybe you'll be running away from stuff that you really hate in your home country, and you'll find like a temporary solution in not being in those places and not experiencing that. But at the core, if there's something missing, it'll be missing everywhere. So you can go as far as you dare. I have this as a lyric as one of my songs called Lost and Confused, and actually I sing, I traveled around Europe and I found myself a home, but still this confusion doesn't go. So you're taking your problems with you in a lot of cases, and you have to realize the journey to happiness involves trying different things and finding out who you are. And there's nothing better than traveling to do that. There's nothing better than trying different stuff in life. Then when you're truly happy, when you find where you're gonna settle that, I mean, like, power to you. But the journey towards that happiness can be a long one. And congrats on making the decision to go on it. Also routine. I mean, would you call yourself somebody who loves routine, or do you like just waking up every day and seeing what happens?
Yeah, I think the second.
Waking up every day and seeing what happens?
Yeah.
Because I need routine.
No, I don't like routine. I'm easily get bored, so...
Yeah. But one of the things of traveling is like every time I take a trip now, after traveling so much as a digital nomad, I'm thinking of like how I'm going to maintain my routine, how I'm going to actually get my exercise in. I mean, this morning here in Athens, I didn't know where to go, where I could pull up on bars and stuff like that. So I had to use like different stuff on the street to achieve that. And push-ups are easy to do everywhere.
You found your way,
and
right?
the food, and food. But there's nothing like having your place and having like your routine and your places that you go. That's great. But as a digital nomad, you can build that up in many places. If you know what your routine and what makes you feel settled. What makes me feel settled is exercising at least 3 times a week outdoors, doing push-ups, pull-ups, yoga online with Georgina, and like just that really grounds me. And have ways to ground yourself anywhere you are, and know what you want to eat, know what kind of time you want to go to sleep, and just have that as you travel. You'll lose like the specific places and the specific foods you're eating, but you can go to a place and if you're really determined, find the closest thing to that in any place that you go. So, yeah. I mean, but yeah, it's exciting to be in a new place and just wake up and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
So that's also the other
I could
side of it.
never be in a place. Whenever I go, anywhere I go, I always change my diet. I will just eat completely different. Like, I will embrace their culture and their food, their cuisine. So it's once in a lifetime. I mean, if you go to Thailand, like, you should eat Thai food. I know it's not that healthy.
I do it on the
like,
weekends.
Yeah, you do it on the weekends.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just need to, like, experience the most out of it. So for me, I prefer to eat less and maybe not that healthy sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, like for like 2-3 weeks, and then go back to my routine. And yeah, I don't know.
So the last one I want to talk about is the fear of being changed forever. The fear of being changed forever. This is very real.
The fear you won't fit into your culture anymore, right?
You definitely won't. After traveling the world, it will be very difficult unless you come from a place where other people have done very similar things and you have a group of friends. Travel will change you forever. And if you like the person that you are right now, if you like the sorts of conversations you have at the pub, if you like the type of food you're eating, if you like the sort of job you have and stuff like that, don't become a digital nomad, because it will change you forever. And me personally, I'm so grateful for the way that traveling the world has changed me, the perspectives, the sort of knowing myself better and knowing the world better and knowing humanity better as a whole and all the goodness and stuff like that. So it will change you forever. And if you don't want that, don't do it. But I think since you're watching this video, especially this long, you want it. And all of these fears, yeah, a lot of them are very real and you got to watch out for them. But that's no reason not to try it. And what I would suggest, if these fears get the most of you, then you should try like starting out as a digital nomad in very controlled experiments, like a weekend somewhere.
Yeah.
Like.
But I think, like, again, the worst thing is that stay the same, not change, right?
Well, things are always
like what
always
we should fear
changing.
the most, like, is to be the same, to stay the same.
What you should fear the most is being in the same city with the same friends, just getting older and older.
Mindset.
And until you die, and just settling for that. That's something that you really should fear. And so Rising Nomad.
Scared the most of that.
Yeah.
Like.
So just get out there. Yeah.
Explore.
And that's what we want to communicate at Rising Nomad. That's why we make these videos. I want you to know that there's lots of people around the world who are going to understand you as a digital nomad. You can join our Facebook group. Link is in the description. Interact with us. We'll put out more of these videos. Have awesome meetups around the world where you can enjoy cool music and meet awesome people. And like the whole thing is like, there's a community out there. And yes, you will change yourself. And yes, there's lots to be afraid of with the experience you will have. But life is boring if you just let it be boring. But life can be very exciting if you just take the plunge. So don't be afraid, nomads. Get out there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.